My name is Austin Lutz, owner of BAM Automotive in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. And we're going to go through our inspection. This is both for training and for our customers to kind of see what we're doing. So we're going to follow along both on the iPad and on the video camera here. So our first step is we're going to take a picture of our vehicle so our customer knows that this is their vehicle that we're doing the inspection on. Then we're going to head to the inside of the vehicle. We're going to turn the ignition to the on position. We're going to make sure that we have the right mileage so that our customer, we can write that up appropriately. Our service advisor knows what's going on mileage wise. And then we're going to click into the vehicle, go to the inspection that we want to do. We're going to take a picture of our instrument cluster, but we're going to start the car up so that we make sure we don't have any warning lights and whatnot. And then we're going to mark it off as all good because we don't have any problems here, no issues. Moving on. Then we're going to take a video of our wipers. And those look a little streaky to me, so we're going to say those are worn out. We're going to take a picture of our oil change sticker. This one is not overdue, so we're okay there. We're going to shut off the vehicle. We're going to take a picture of the inside of the vehicle. This is more for ourselves to make sure that we didn't damage anything in the vehicle. So kind of a CYA thing. But we are going to mark it as an internal information item. Then we're going to go and grab our gift. So here at BAM Automotive, we give gifts out to all of our customers this month because it's February. It's got a nice heart-shaped lollipop for Valentine's Day. It comes with a QR code to hopefully get us some reviews and whatnot and just add to that customer experience. So some good spots for the gift is right in the cup holder facing the driver. And we're going to take a picture of that just to make sure that we do that. We're going to mark that as internal information. We'll close the car up. And then we're going to do a 4-corner shot of our vehicle. So we're going to start on the driver's front corner. Click our blue button so we can add some more pictures. And what we're doing here is really just making sure that there aren't any scratches and dings that the customer is going to say that we did to their vehicle. Kind of, again, a CYA thing. And we're going to mark that as an internal information item. Then we're going to take a picture of our windshield. If there's any cracks, chips, whatever, we want to make sure that our customer knows about that. So kind of just give it a quick look over, make sure everything's looking okay there. And if there was a problem, when we say there is, it would automatically create a referral contact information for our friends over at the glass company. Next, we're going to do a full lighting inspection. So we're going to put our iPad down. We're going to grab our brake pedal depressor. And we're going to install this. Press it on the brake. Pull that back, hook it onto the seat. Hit our hazards. Turn our lights to the on position. And have our key on. That'll have every light on the vehicle on. Reason for that is every single bulb in the vehicle should be going right now. So we're going to take a picture of our headlights. Those look like they're all working good. Then we're going to go to the back of the car, take a picture of our brake lights. Looks good there. We're going to make sure we get a picture of our license plate lights. And this is nice for our returning customers. If they've got a new set of license plates, we can then update them and make sure that it's correct in our system, or let them know that maybe their tabs are expired and they need to get new tabs on the vehicle. I'm not going to do a video or a picture of any of the turn signals or hazards because we can check them visually. And on this vehicle, it looks like everything's working good. So we're going to mark that off as working. And now we're going to move on to the under hood portion of the vehicle. So when I was inside, I popped the hood, so now I can just easily open it once I'm here. But if I didn't, I can always go back in the vehicle and turn off all of our lights, set our headlights back to auto, undo our hazards, turn the key off, and we can put our tools back. It's always really important to make sure we clean up after ourselves so we're ready to do the next inspection and that we don't lose any of our stuff. Now on cars with automatic hood props here, we're going to take a picture of that working. If it's failing, we want to make sure that we show that it's failing. If it's a normal just stick rod, I usually don't take that picture, as most customers know that it's working. Maybe if it's missing, we might want to document that. Next, and on every single vehicle, we want to make sure our washer fluid is all filled up. On this one, it looks like it is, but if it wasn't, we could just go over to our washer bottle, grab it, give it a quick little top off. And then we're always going to take a picture of that washer fluid. It's a really nice courtesy thing that we should all be doing for our customers. Next, we're going to grab our rag and we're going to check our oil level. If we were doing an oil change, we could pop off the oil cap right now, but we're not doing that right now. So top, bottom, we're right in the middle, so that's okay. And then we want to make sure we wipe that oil in our hand a little bit just to kind of get a sample of what that oil looks like. And this one, it's not awful, but it definitely is probably could be changed at this point. We're going to take a look at that, get a good picture of our oil level. A lot of times the vehicles, when they come in for an oil change, they are very low. So we're going to recommend an oil treatment service or maybe upping their oil change interval, that kind of thing. This one, pretty good right now. So we're going to mark that off as okay. We're going to pop out our engine air filter. Get a good picture of that one. And sometimes we get a blurry picture, so we're going to click the reshoot button and then retake that picture. Gets a lot better picture the second time. And what we notice here, we can see the cleanliness on certain areas of the filter and then very dirty on the others. This filter is dirty and should get replaced. Some guys might put this as a yellow. I'm kind of a big believer that if the filter is dirty, you can see it pretty clear like that. We're also going to mark our cabin air filter, whatever the same reading as our engine air filter. I don't think I've ever seen a cabin air filter that was cleaner than our engine air filter. So it's been a really good service for us not to waste time pulling out cabin air filters and whatnot. We do want to make sure that gets clipped back in place, and all hoses, if they are disturbed, go back to the little holding fixtures that they need it. So whatever we mark our engine air filter, we're going to mark our cabin air filter the same way. Put our cap back on our washer fluid, and then we're going to test our battery. It's really important to have a nice battery tester and test every one of them, especially up here in the cold weather states like Minnesota. We got a lot of battery problems here. Last week it was -20, and it was pretty rough. Make sure you get a good connection on that. And on here, we're going to do a battery test. It's a regular flooded battery, cold cranking amps, 625. Looks like we got a low, so let's do a test there. Looks like it's all good anyway, even though it was a little low. We'll take a picture of that. And then on top of that picture, we're also just going to get a picture of the battery overall in case we do want to sell one or if we have an issue with it. This one looks like it's okay. I'm going to make sure I got these lights turned off so we don't kill the battery on this vehicle. We're going to grab our flashlight so we can kind of see into the engine bay here. Gonna get a good picture of the washer fluid. Looks a little low, so we definitely want to let the customer know. On the tablet, we can put an arrow if need be. In this instance, I'm going to put that right at the base of the coolant reservoir, and I'm going to mark that it is low on the system. We're going to move over to power steering fluid. We're going to get a picture of that fluid level, and we're also going to use plastic pipettes. So we're going to get a little fluid sample here, draining into the bottom. And we're going to do the exact same thing with our brake fluid. Now you could use a hygrometer to test for moisture and whatnot. It's not a bad idea. I think you can tell a lot about fluid just by looking at the color. Especially in Minnesota, we get some pretty gross fluid. In this instance, it's looking pretty clear, so we want to take a picture of that. And that looks pretty good to me. Next up is transmission fluid. And on this vehicle, these Subarus, they don't have dipsticks for the transmission, unfortunately. So we're just going to note that this is a sealed transmission, and they should service it at mileage intervals. Our system allows us to check Carfax history, which we're going to do. Our service writers are going to do that for us to see if there's any recommended mileage maintenance on the vehicles so that we can better serve our customers. Next up, we're going to take a look at that drive belt. Some vehicles, it's really hard to see that drive belt, and if that's the case, we really don't want to take a bad picture. These Subarus, it's very easy to see them, so we'll take that picture. This one looks great. Motor mounts, in this instance, we're not going to check them. They're not really accessible, but sometimes you can see if you have a torn bushing or whatnot, so we could mark that. So we're just going to mark that as internal information. Spark plugs on a vehicle with 171,000 miles definitely need to get replaced by mileage, but our service advisor is going to make that call for us once he checks that in Carfax history. So on our tablet here, we're just going to say mileage and age recommended. Whenever we do a spark plugs here at BAM Automotive, we're also going to recommend a fuel induction service, and we're going to recommend a PCV valve. Some vehicles are going to have timing belts. This particular one does, and it looks like it's been replaced once based on the sticker that's right here on the airbox. So we're going to take a picture of that sticker, and then we're going to mark that off as being okay. Once we're done with that, we're going to move on to our mid-rise height, which is where we're going to lift the vehicle. So I'm going to get those pads set appropriately on our unibody today. Once we get the car set racked, it's always a good idea to give it a little shake, make sure that we're safe on the lift. It's not a bad idea just to check for safety reasons. I raised it up to about chest to level height. For all of us, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to check tread depth, and then we're going to go in and check some pressures on the tires. I really like these digital tire checkers. Just gives you a quick number reading on them. So what we're looking for is we want to find a smooth portion of the inside of the tire, so not these little grooves here. We're going to put our tool right on that flat spot, go to the bottom, and then that is our reading on a tire tread. We're going to want to do this in the outside and the inside of the tread to make sure there's not uneven wear. so that we're not getting a weird wear pattern. What that would indicate is we need to do a wheel alignment. If we're seeing unequal wear front to back, we want to do a tire rotation. So we're going to check the outside and inside tread on all 4 tires. And then on the iPad, we're going to make sure we take and put those measurements in. And we don't have to put the units in on tires. It's going to automatically do that for us. So on this is 30/2 of an inch. And since we did see uneven wear front to back, it looks like this vehicle could use a tire rotation. So we're going to mark that as our item or condition. And then we're also going to take a picture of our tire tread, both on the front. And we're going to take a picture of that on the rear. So we're going to go check tire pressure now. We just wrapped up getting the tread depth. So we're going to grab our air hose, hook that up, turn on our tire checker, pop our caps off. And here in Minnesota, we usually shoot for 33 to 35 PSI, mainly because with it being winter, if I go too high or too low, it's going to change the pressure of the vehicle. So we really want to just shoot for uniformity amongst all 4 tires, so we make sure that light's off. Obviously, if it's a heavy truck, we might bump that up a little bit based on the tire placard. But we really want to make sure there's no problems with the tires. So we're looking for, if one tire is way lower than the rest, we probably have an issue there. Want to make sure we don't lose any of the tire caps. Okay. And anytime we're unhooking an air hose or a tool, we want to make sure that we clean up after ourselves so we don't create trip hazards or anything else going on. All right. Now we're going to go into checking our brakes. So we're going to use a tool like this, which is a pad thickness gauge. And we're going to get right in on these brake pads. Sometimes it's a little tough to get in there. And if it's really, really, really impossible, we would want to recommend pulling the tires off and doing a brake check. In this instance, I think I can get that checker in there. Yep. It looks like we have got about 6 millimeters on the front. And we'll go to the back. About 6 in the back as well. So 6 millimeters all the way around. And on the tablet, we're going to make sure we put in that 6 millimeters. And then we're going to make sure we take a picture of those brake rotors just to make sure there's no issues with them. Make sure there's no rusting, grooving, whatever. Now we definitely want to take a look at all 4 brakes, both on the inside and the outside. So when we lift up the vehicle, we're going to verify that that's good information. But for right now, we're looking pretty good there. We do not have drum brakes in the back, so we want to make sure we take note of that. While we got the vehicle at this height, we're going to do a little shakedown. So at 9 and 3, we're going to give that tire a little bit of a shake. And then 12 and 6, give it a little bit of a shake. Make sure that that's tight. So what we're taking a look at here is a tie rod test from the inside of the vehicle. So David here is going to give it a shake from 3 to 9, side to side, very lightly. We're trying to look for movement in this joint, or it could be on the inside joint, but we're looking at this one right here. And so as he's shaking it, we're looking to see if there's movement here. So one trick is we can take 2 fingers and we put them on the 2 points where they should be not moving, right? So there should be no movement between my 2 fingers. And if I feel movement, then we know that we have a problem with this joint. This one is nice and tight, so we're all good on this one. Do that on both the front tires. This is a good time to check that other brake pad, make sure it's wearing about the same as the other one, which it is. And we're looking pretty good here as well. Our brakes and tires are doing pretty well on this vehicle. We're going to mark those tie rods off okay. And then we're going to move to the underside of the vehicle. Now, some cars are going to be a lot easier to take pictures of the shocks and struts at the mid-level height. So in this instance, we can certainly take a picture of our struts up front here especially. And we could do 2 if we want to. The big thing here is we want to show that there's either some good or some bad going on with our tires or our struts. And then we're going to lift the car up and take a look at it. We're going to lower that car down to the locks, safety reasons there. Then we're going to take a look at our control arms and the bushings along with it. Sometimes it can be kind of tough to see those bushings, and we don't have to take a picture of everything under this on the inspection, but you certainly, if you're not sure if you should, you can always take the picture of it, and our service advisors can take it off of the inspection. They can always delete that picture. So we'll take a picture of it, but we're looking for any type of bushings that are cracked, if they're starting to degrade, whatnot. These ones look pretty good. So we're going to mark those off as okay. All right, so this part right here is a sway bar link, and when you're going to check it, we're just going to grab it and give it a good shake, making sure that the joint itself isn't loose in that socket. So that's one point. And then we have a bushing here that we want to give a shake to, make sure that it's not degraded or kind of breaking down. We're going to walk to the back. We'll take a shakedown of those. Those are looking good. And we can also go back and take some pictures of them if we wanted to, just to kind of show that we've got some good pictures. And if we want to go back and take some pictures of those shocks and struts in the back here, we certainly can. And any vehicle with over 100,000 miles should get shocks and struts recommended. This vehicle has 171, so we normally would, but I can see that these have been replaced with some really nice KYB units, so we're probably not going to recommend them on these ones. Our technicians should make some decisions of their own so that they're not guessing and the service advisors are not doing all of the work for them. All right, so we're good there. While we're back here, we're going to take a look and take a picture of our differential fluid. So our differential here, got a picture of it. But what we want to do is make sure we recommend that based on mileage, and then again our service advisor is going to double check to make sure if it needs it based on Carfax history that we end up getting that on a recommendation. So we'll take a picture of both that front and rear differential, and then while we're here we're actually going to go all the way back to the underhood where we talked about transmission fluid, because we had recommended we want to take a picture of this transmission just to kind of give the service advisor an idea of what we're doing down here. That can help them write estimates, any of that kind of stuff. So it really makes their job easier as a technician. Take a look at our steering gear, make sure the boots aren't torn and we don't have any leaks. Looks like we're looking pretty good. It's hard to get a good picture of that one, so we won't take a picture there. Our transfer case, we don't have one on these Subarus, we just have front and rear differentials. Our transfer case is part of the transmission because it's a transaxle vehicle. So we're going to mark that it's not equipped with the transfer case. Then we're going to check our drive shafts. So we're going to take a peek at these guys here. Looking good. Boots are not torn. Then we're going to look at the actual drive shaft. So what we're looking at here is a center hanger bearing, and it has a rubber insulator which creates reduces vibration from our shaft and holds it to the vehicle. So we just kind of look for cracking or any type of broken portions of it, and then we're going to give it a good shake. So we're going to grab that, give it a shake, and we like to see that just kind of move back and forth, and that it's reducing that vibration. So this is a pretty good one, even with 171,000 miles on it. Check our U-joint in the back here, make sure it's not loose. If it's loose, then we got to replace this whole shaft. In the old days, you could replace just that U-joint, but this one's a little bit different. And we don't have any torn boots in the back here, so that's a good recommendation. All right, so after we took a couple pictures of that differential fluid, we're going to take a look at the exhaust. This customer's had their exhaust replaced, so we want to take a quick picture of it just to show that it's all good. Now our last section, we're just going to kind of take a quick look over the vehicle if there's anything else that comes to note or any type of fluid leaks. So as I was walking around, I noticed a couple of fluid leaks. First one is on the back of this transmission pan here. So we're going to make sure we get a picture of that. And then I also noticed a little bit coming off of a valve cover over here. So we want to make sure we note that we have an engine oil leak and a transmission fluid leak. And I can even type notes into the system to say transmission pan and driver's valve cover. That way the service writers can write up a better estimate if we have any issues with that. And then if there's any other issues, you know, maybe the exhaust shields are a little loose, or we got a broken ground cable, or something else going on, maybe we see a dented rim, whatever's going on, we can mark that down as well. But once the inspection gets to the end of it, we want to make sure that we mark everything off as okay, and then we're going to submit that inspection. That way the service advisor knows that we're all done and they can start estimating all the services that they have. So thanks for following along. Hopefully it was informative and you can do that as well. Thanks.